Today we're going to be reviewing the Tineco S3 Floor One VacMop. Now, some of you might be saying that's not a computer, but I beg to differ, and here's why. Now, I really wasn't kidding. The FloorOne S3 VacMop really is borderline more computer than it is VacMop. I'm going to run through a pros and cons list of this VacMop so you can decide if you want to get one for yourself. You'd be surprised the amount of technology that they packed into this thing. And in some ways that makes it very good, but in other ways it makes it not so awesome. Spoiler alert for those that don't want to watch the entire video, I will say that while I do like this product, I don't think I would recommend it. There's too many shortcomings. In other words, if you're making a pros and cons list, there's just far too many cons than there are pros. Let's talk about the pros. It is pretty solid technology. There is a little bit of marketing embellishment, so to speak, but nevertheless, it does what they say it will do, and it does it pretty good. Build quality is pretty sturdy. It feels like it's not going to break anytime soon. It's not made of like cheap plastics or anything like that. And it does pick up like dirt, dust, debris, and like liquid spilled messes. I would say about the only thing it doesn't clean too well is really tacked on stuff, maybe like paint chips or very, very sticky messes, but really you're only gonna get a steam mop to have any kind of success with that. Another clever thing about it is it does have a pretty well thought out debris bin. For example, the debris bin has an option where you can spill out the liquid, but then it catches all of the debris in sort of this little raking thing that's built into it. And that's very, very clever engineering, because if you're spilling dirty water out into your sink, you may not want to throw away the Legos or whatever kind of mess that you sucked up. You may not want that going down your drain. So it does give you the option to kind of rake it out into a trash can. Very, very thoughtful design. So here's the dirty water reservoir. Here's a little sort of filter that it comes with. And what you do is you sort of remove this top cover thing. Just pop that off. And then you pour the empty water down the drain and catches any sort of larger debris or objects that got sucked in, so you're not pouring them down your drain. And by all accounts, it does pick up a lot of filth. When you when you pass over your floor and then you go to empty out the dirty reservoir, the water does look pretty disgusting. So it's kind of like sort of like a Dyson. You've got that clear bin and you can just see all that vacuumed up filth. Well, this is sort of the equivalent. You can really tell how nasty your floors were prior to using it. But this is also where the pros list kind of stops. It is a fairly intuitive device. In other words, taking it out of the box, building it, and then using it is all pretty straightforward. It's got a beautiful sort of minimalist design, and I really, really do appreciate that. But here's where the cons are. It has a very tiny reservoir. So in other words, when you're filling it up with water, and then of course the included solution, or any solution that you use for that matter, and that will also lead me to a next point, but when you fill up that reservoir with your water and your solution, the vacuum does seem to burn through that pretty quickly. In fact, if you're running this thing on max mode, you can borderline only get between 5 to 10 minutes of actual usage on it. And here's the size of the water reservoir. Now, this thing, by comparison to the rest of it, is quite small. And the hole that you pour the water and solution into is even smaller. And because this little flap doesn't go back anymore, you will end up spilling half of the solution on the cover, and you will run out of it very, very fast. And there's a little max line. This was not the most well thought out little reservoir. It's too tiny and it's too hard to fill. And by comparison to that very, very clever dirty water reservoir, I would have thought the freshwater reservoir would be a little smarter. So while we're on the subject of the fluid that you put into the water, it does come with whatever sort of detergent or liquid that they want you to add into the water reservoir. And of course, it does come with a very, very nice size bottle, and you can buy more from them if you want. We have had some people, and actually even in my experience as well, some people complain that it does leave a little bit of a haziness on your floor if you use the included solution. It's not that big of a deal. It's not sticky or anything like that. It just isn't going to like sort of buff and shine your floors. But nevertheless, it does seem to be do a pretty good job as a floor detergent, and it does smell very nice. It smells much better than the Bissell detergent that would come with one of their like carpet cleaners, for example. But here's where the cons kind of become deal breakers. When you are using this VacMop, and you are of course going against your trim or by a door or something like that, by a wall, there is a pretty sizable gap but where the roller hits and where it actually meets the wall, both on the front of the vacuum head as well as on the side. And to me, that really, that is one of the worst parts of this device altogether, is when you are doing any kind of mopping, your trim is going to get nasty as well. I mean, that's, trim's a part of your floor. And it would have been nice if they closed that gap a little bit and made it a little bit easier to get the debris that was sort of sitting right at the edge of the wall. So we're going to pull it up here. And it's very easy to operate. Pretty much all you have to do is flip it down. But anyway, you'll see in that in the floor here, there's some dirt and dust on the floor. And we're gonna try to get to it. It's by the way, it's by the edge where trim would be, and we're gonna try to get to it. So flip it down, hit the little power button here. I'm gonna put it on max mode. Of course, it's screaming at you. And you can see on the floors where it's even making a little bit of a water spot. I'm gonna try to talk louder in case. Anyway, so here we are. And it has not gotten it. Mind you, that is just a piece of dust. That is nothing very complicated. It actually just sucked it up. But it's a little weird, right? So, here's where I'm doing the vacuum cleaning. You can see where the water line has basically started. So that's it right there. That is about almost 2 inches of gap before it gets to the wall. And it's not that much better on the side. Anyway, so let's see if it's a little hard to tell in the light here, but basically it's about right here, that even on its side, that it's grabbing, or that you can see the water. And if you look at the rollers, there is a considerable amount of space. Another couple of deal breakers for some people is that when you put it on the base, almost every single time it implores you to do the self-cleaning mode. And that's not necessarily a big deal, but it borderline burns through an entire canister of the water and cleaning solution when you put it through its self-cleaning mode. And in fact, I have actually not been able to get it not to tell me to put it into self-cleaning mode. I've done simple little hits on the floor, less than 30 seconds of use, and it will still tell me, put it in self-cleaning mode. I do, and then the thing runs for 5 minutes, burning through an entire reservoir of water and solution. And to begin the self-cleaning cycle, you just hit this button right here.
Start self-cleaning. Cleaning function record.
It just doesn't stop talking to you. It does get old after a while. And even with all of that self-cleaning, the base that you put it on does get dirty very, very fast. Now, I admit that I had just moved and I bought this thing for my new house, and the previous owners left the house pretty filthy. But even after I scoured the house and I just started using this thing in normal operation, the base was still left pretty dirty almost every single time. And even worse, the Tineco, however it's pronounced, started to smell pretty quickly as well. And that's pretty normal, even if you've got a clean house. Anything that's drenched in water, dirt, and cleaning solution is going to pick up a bit of an odor. But no matter how many times you use the self-cleaning mode, the thing just started to get that sort of mildewy, musty smell of a dirty mop. Now, Tineco does include an extra brush roll and a couple of other little accessories so you can wash the previous one, but still, I can't help but feel like the cleaning mode didn't really do anything. And even after having me do it every single time and wasting all that solution and wasting all that water, I just kind of wish that the self-cleaning mode was maybe a little bit more, I don't know, useful. And that's really where this thing became a deal breaker for me, is it was a little bit tedious to put the water in. It was not getting close enough to my walls. It started to smell after a while. It barked at me to put it in self-cleaning mode almost every single time, actually every single time.
Please begin self-cleaning cycle.
And those audio alerts pretty much happen continuously. Who the fuck wants that barking at you all day long while you're cleaning?
Charging has commenced. Auto-detecting whether to run self-cleaning cycle. Please clean dirty water tank cleaning solution. Please begin self-cleaning cycle.
The mop kind of wears on you after a while. I had my wife in the other room basically screaming at me to get the thing to shut up, and I don't know, it just wouldn't. It just kept on beeping and bleeping and wanting attention and making noise. So that is why I decided that the mop wasn't for me. So here is a demonstration of the dirt sensor at work. We turn it on, and you can see that the LCD screen is already turning red, indicating that these floors are pretty dirty.
So pass over the wheat there. After the wheat. All I see is blue. It's kind of pretty red. It needs to.
It is a good mop and it's well thought out, and there are some very, very clever features on it. I like the product overall, and if they were able to solve those little tiny annoyances, I think I might even keep this thing. But for now, it's just not quite there yet. It's a technology that's somewhat fresh, and I'm sure they're going to engineer the hell out of it and eventually make a very, very awesome product. But until that point, I don't think I can recommend the S3 FloorOne VacMop to people. There's just too many little quirks about it that don't necessarily make it practical or even desirable. Anyway, that is a review of the Tineco S3 FloorOne VacMop. Thank you for watching. If this was helpful, please give us a thumbs up. Even if it wasn't helpful, give us a thumbs up, please. And subscribe as well. Good night.